Chapter 3 Mr. Melvin and Crappy the Kid. Miss Andrew collected her things and left for home, grumbling under her breath as she passed George and Harold in the hallway. The two boys could hear Melvin's angry shouts coming from down the hall, so they went to the office to investigate. While they were getting Melvin off the hook, Mr. Crab ran into the office, sweaty and out of breath. "You guys have got to help me," he cried. "My mom and dad are trying to kill me. Has the world gone mad?" "Relax, Einstein," said George calmly, "and put on some clothes." George and Harold had already figured out what was going on, so they tried to explain the situation to Melvin and Mr. Crab. "You see," said Harold, "after you guys got morphed together by the Combiotron 2000, we switched the batteries around and separated you. But for some strange reason, it switched your brains around. Now Mr. Crab's brain is inside Melvin's body, and Melvin's brain is inside Mr. Crab's body." "That's a bunch of bunk," yelled Melvin. "Take a look and see for yourself," said George. He pulled a full-length mirror in front of Mr. Crab and Melvin. They looked at themselves in astonishment. I'm a kid again," said the guy who looked like Melvin but had Mr. Crab's brain. "And I'm old and fat and bald and ugly," cried the guy who looked like Mr. Crab but had Melvin's brain. And I have bad breath and creepy nose hair and—" "Hey!" yelled the guy who looked like Melvin but had Mr. Crab's brain. At this point, you might be saying to yourself, "Dang, this book is getting confusing." Now don't worry. This will all get cleared up by the end of chapter 17. But for now, let's rename the two characters who have the right brains and the wrong bodies, shall we? Let's call the guy who looks like Mr. Crab but has Melvin's sneezy brain Mr. Melvin. And we'll call the kid who looks like Melvin Sneely but has Mr. Crab's brain Crappy the Kid. Please refer to the handy X-ray chart below in case you get mixed up. Melvin's brain, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Crab's brain, Crappy the Kid. Chapter 4. Things get worse. Crappy the Kid climbed up into his chair and demanded to know what was going on. What was going to be done about this mishap? "I could solve this problem right away if I stay at my Combiotron 2000, said Mr. Melvin sheepishly. But it got smashed in the last book. "Well, start building a new one, bud," shouted Crappy the Kid. Okay, whined Miss Melvin. "But it'll take about 6 months. 6 months? Screamed Crappy the Kid. "I can't go around looking like a kid for 6 months. I got a school to run, Buster." Sorry. But building a cellular combiner is extremely difficult. It takes time. It's not easy. Like building a robot or a time machine or a photo-atomic transmogable mixer. "Hey, wait a second," said George. "Did you just say that building a time machine was easy?" "Yeah," said Melvin. "It just takes a day or two. Why?" "Well, why don't you just build a time machine?" asked George. "Then you can go back in time to before a Combiotron 2000 got smashed. Grab it and bring it back to the present time." Mr. Melvin thought for a moment, and then his eyes lit up. "I got it," he said, snapping his fingers. "I build a time machine, then go back in time to before the Combiotron 2000 got smashed. Grab it and bring it back to the..." Hey, what the heck is he doing? Everyone turned and looked at Crappy the kid, who had just stripped down to his underwear and was now tying a red curtain around his neck. Oh no, screamed George. Get some water! Get some water! Harold ran out to the drinking fountain, but he was too late. Crappy the kid shouted a triumph, "Tra-la-la!" then turned and flew out the window. Chapter 5. Things get worser. Did you guys see that? Cried Mr. Melvin. I mean, Crappy the kid just flew out the window. He flew. Yeah, we know, said George with a sigh. Yeah, we know. That's amazing, cried Mr. Melvin. He must think he's Captain Underpants or something. Oh, could it be? Could our principal really be Captain Underpants? Well, duh, said Harold. But Mr. Crab doesn't look anything like Captain Underpants, said Mr. Melvin frantically. Captain Underpants is bald, and Mr. Crab usually has hair. Yeah, I know. Maybe Mr. Crab wears a toupee. I thought you were supposed to be in the gifted program, said George. But how can he fly? Where did he get his superpower set? Asked Mr. Melvin. It's a long story, said Harold. Mr. Melvin calmed down a bit, walked confidently across the room and sat in the principal's chair. He leaned back and smiled a devilish grin. Well, why don't you go ahead and tell me about it, said Mr. Melvin. I got all the time in the world. Chapter 6. Things get worse. George and Harold had no choice but to come clean. They told Mr. Melvin the whole story of Captain Underpants, how they had hypnotized Mr. Crab, how he drank the alien superpower juice, and how his superpower must have somehow gotten transferred into Melvin's body along with Mr. Crab's brain. While George and Harold were talking, the smile on Mr. Melvin's face grew wider and wider and eviler and eviler. What are you smiling about? Said George. This is serious. Yeah, said Harold. We're in big trouble if we don't switch things back to normal. Correction, said Mr. Melvin. You guys are in big trouble. All my troubles are over. I, Melvin Snilly, am going to get back into my old body, but keep those superpowers for myself. I'm going to become the world's first superpower kid. Hey, you can't do that, said Harold. I can do whatever I want, snapped Mr. Melvin. I'm in charge now. I look just like the principal, so I'm going to make the rules and you guys are going to follow them or else. Or else what? George demanded. Or else, snarled Mr. Melvin. I order your teachers to give you guys 12 hours of homework every night for the next 8 years. That shut George and Harold up. Mr. Melvin's first order of the day was for George and Harold to make a new comic book about the world's first superpower kid, Melvin Sneely. Give me a really cool name, said Mr. Melvin. Like Big Melvin or Mystery Melvin. Mystery Melvin, said George and Harold in disbelief. And make up a story where I defeat Captain Underpants and become the world's greatest superhero. And you better not make me look stupid either, Mr. Melvin shouted. But we can make a comic book right now, cried Harold. We gotta chase after Captain Crappy, the Underpants kid. You can chase after him all you want, said Mr. Melvin, after you made that comic book. Now get going. I got a time machine to build. Chapter 7. The Purple Potty. Mr. Melvin went out and bought all the things he needed to build his time machine. Now he just needed a place to build it. He wanted someplace quiet and private, someplace empty and secluded, A room that nobody ever used. I got it, he cried. Our school library. The library at Jerome Horwitz Elementary School had once been a wonderful place of knowledge and learning. But a few years back, the librarian, Miss Singerbrains, had begun banning most of the books. Now, the library was filled only with rows of empty bookshelves and posters that warned of the potential subversive dangers of reading. It was a perfect place to hatch an evil plan. Mr. Melvin pushed his cart into this dusty, cobwebby room and flicked on the lights. Welcome, sir, said Miss Singerbrains. Have you come to check out the book? No, said Mr. Melvin. I need to find a large box, like a phone booth or something. There's a purple portable potty down in the basement. That'll do. Go get it for me. I can't carry that thing up 3 several stairs by myself. All right. I'll help you. Mr. Melvin supervised while Miss Singerbrains carried the heavy potty to the top of the treacherous steps. Good job, said Mr. Melvin. Now go clean out your desk. You're fired. Fire? Cried Miss Singerbrains. What for? For the rest of your life, said Mr. Melvin.